discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Today, we're going to move around the agenda just a little bit, and I will say to the group that we will have 10:45 hard stop on the committee. We will, if we still have business to attend, at 10:45 we will recess, and we will come back after 15 minutes after the floor session, just so the committee all knows. We're going to take up, is there any interest in the House Bill 280? Or, I'm sorry, Senate Bill.
Mr. Chairman, I move Senate Bill 280.
Senate Bill 280. Will the attorney please explain the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 280 provides that no public school board, school superintendent, or school principal shall prohibit a public school classroom teacher from discussing or answering questions from students about scientific theories on how the universe and/or life came to exist. This bill is second reference to judiciary, and there's a strike and insert, which I can explain the strike and insert when it's moved.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move the strike and insert.
Strike and insert been moved. Please explain.
Sure. The strike and insert moves this from 18-5-46 of the code, which references student grades and advancing to the next grade level, to a more appropriate section of code in 18-5-41A. This would become a new section. The strike and insert also changes shall to may, and I'll give you some context. It says no, it did read no public school board, school superintendent, or school principal shall prohibit, and we changed that to may prohibit. So that is a summary of the strike and insert in the bill.
Any questions? The chair recognizes the delegate from Kanawha, I believe.
Yes, and I don't know if I have the strike and insert, or no, I got the committee substitute. Are you going off the committee substitute? Or
It's the strike and insert to the committee substitute.
Okay. Okay, I have an amendment. I'm going to try to recraft the amendment here. Real quick, though. Back in, I believe, the general election of 22, there were several ballot of, like, constitutional amendments on the ballot. Was there one regarding the, like, rulemaking for the Department of Education?
There may have been, but admittedly, I'm not familiar if there was.
That is correct, there was.
There was, and did it fail?
It did fail.
Yeah, okay. Might be a better question in judiciary. That's all I have.
Is there any other questions? Any questions of the attorney? If not, are there any amendments?
Yes.
The delegate has an amendment. We'll give you time to reform your amendment. Would the delegate please explain his amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, there's only one page of the bill, so it's obviously on that page. And it's basically after answering questions from students about, it would add history and social studies, as well as scientific theories. So it had two other subjects that would protect teachers from and students from discussing those issues as well, history and social studies. That's the amendment.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I understand the amendment. However, we could oppose the amendment. What it does now is it gives the teachers and staff opportunity to talk about scientific theories. So this bill is crafted just for that specific topic, be able to deal with those in classrooms as they see fit. So I don't see the need of even able to add the other two, like the amendment, like the sponsor has requested.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Yes, sir. Chair recognizes Delegate Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the amendment. I don't see why we should be prohibiting teachers from teaching. And if they're teaching history, they've been certified to answer questions about history. And, you know, certainly with the scientific theories, it's just amazing to me that they can't teach science in a science class. And this is implying that they may do it and answer those questions. But anyway, I support the amendment. I think we're creating too many restrictions on teachers, and they are experts that are guiding our children, so I support it.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Are there, yes?
In opposition to the amendment, the bill is very narrow, and this broadens it a little too much. So I'll be voting no on the amendment.
Chair recognizes Delegate Kanawha. Closing. Delegate Ridenhour.
Question of council.
Yes.
Is there any prohibition in the current bill relative to what is in the amendment? Are teachers still allowed to discuss history, et cetera?
And as far as I'm aware.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other discussion on the amendment before the gentleman closes? Are there any amendments to the amendment? Hearing none, the gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my friend here to the right is correct. There is no prohibition in this bill or in code, the teaching of history and social studies. There's also no prohibition for teaching or discussing any scientific theory of how the university and/or life came to exist. So, I mean, if you're saying that it's not needed because there's no prohibition, there's no prohibition on the issue we're addressing in this bill. However, the reason I believe the amendment is necessary, because we've seen now, thankfully, these bills haven't been on our agenda yet, but we see bills introduced every year that do prohibit certain types of teaching of history and social studies. There are bills have been introduced. There are bills that have moved that would restrict what teachers can or can't teach regarding history and social studies. So I think if we're going to protect, science teachers and say that they can teach whatever they feel they need to teach, and the students can ask any questions they want, why not expand that to history and social studies? And just keep that in mind. If hopefully it doesn't come up, but if those bills come up, keep that in mind, and let's try to be consistent here in what we're trying to protect or prohibit. I do feel that if we're going to pass this bill, it would make it better. It's not really a narrow bill. It's fairly broad, and this allows other subjects, allows teachers to freely teach other subjects, allows students to learn and express free thought, and I think it makes the bill better, so I would urge adoption.
The gentleman has closed. The question before us is on the amendment that the gentleman has proposed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The chair's rules that the the amendment failed. We are back now on questioning of the bill as before, Senate Bill 280. Is there any further questions of the attorney on Senate Bill 280? Are there any amendments? Chair recognizes the Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report Senate Bill 280 as amended to the floor for recommendation that it do pass, but first be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
The Vice Chairman's motion is to put the motion before us to the floor, but first go to Judiciary. Are there any discussions on the bill that's before us? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Kanawha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I first heard about the bill, I had more concern than I do now. Reading what this committee substitute that was sent to us from the Senate, and then with the strike and insert, addresses some of the issues that I had with it. I personally, I think teachers should be able to teach, and students should be able to ask any questions and be answered, any questions, and I'm for all types of discussion and debate, and that's what we're supposed to do in schools. However, there was a constitutional amendment on the ballot in 22 about, I believe, about the legislature having, trying to take control of rulemaking, I believe, over the Department of Education, and I think this might run afoul of that. I'm not an attorney, far from it, but somebody smarter than me might wind up taking this to court, because I think that it has some constitutional issues, and it was just a few short years ago that the public spoke fairly loudly about that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but other than that, I mean, said teachers should be able to teach.
The chair stands corrected that we are on the strike and insert of the bill, and the delegate did mention he was speaking on the strike and insert, so that is correct. Is there any other discussion on the strike and insert of the bill that's before us? Hearing none, the question is on the strike and insert that's before us on Senate Bill 280. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. The next bill that will be before us is Senate Bill 152.
That was on the strike and insert. You need to move that bill to fund.
Oh, just a second. Correction. Okay.
Or Judish, sorry. Or Judish. Top one.
Mr. Chairman, I now move to report Senate Bill 280 as amended to the floor as a recommendation that do pass, but first be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
So you heard that. Another correction to the chair. Hey, you got to allow the pups a little leeway here on making mistakes as we're getting our legs under us. Now we are on to 152, Senate Bill 152. Will Yanis please explain? One more time. You can only be corrected so many times in a meeting, so all those in favor of the motion that the vice chair put before us, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Outcome is the same. The motion carries. Now, with no corrections, we're on to 152. Will the analyst please explain 152?
Thank you,
Please
Ms.
bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get through this.
Am I going to do this?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 152 came to us as a committee substitute, and it pretty much just states that all public charter schools, and higher education institutions will display the U.S. motto, and there is a strike and insert amendment that I can move to at the appropriate time.
Right, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike and insert.
The strike and insert's been moved.
Thank you. So the strike and insert amendment looks much longer than the committee substitute as it came over from the Senate, and that's because I go through and refer the correct sections of code. So when it gets to public charter schools, we refer the section of code that is relevant to public charter schools. Same with public schools and same with higher education institutions. The public charter schools and public schools shall, so that's mandatory, display an 8.5 by 11-inch poster of "In God We Trust," the U.S. motto, and higher education institutions shall post an 8.5 by 11-inch poster of "In God We Trust" in the main building, but it's permissive in any other buildings. And it also says that it cannot be from any of the funds from the school. So it would have to be donated or purchased from private donations. And that is the summary of the strike and insert. I'm happy to answer any questions.
These has been explained, yes. Delegate Hamlin?
For, you said in higher education, it'll be displayed in the main building. What would be the main building in higher education?
I think that's up to each institution. So I would say, I went to West Virginia State University, I would say either Wallace or Farrell.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is there other questions? Delegate McDonald, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you aware what year that the United States adopted "In God We Trust" as the official motto?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
I believe it was 1934, sir. Is there any other questions of our analyst? Are there any amendments? No amendments. Chair recognizes the vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report Senate Bill 152 as amended to the board's recommendation that do pass, but the first be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
Second, sir.
Gotta vote on the amendment first.
Okay, we are voting on the strike and insert amendment to the bill. We're voting on the strike and insert amendment. Is there any discussion? Any amendments to the amendment? All those in favor to the amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Amendment, motion carried. Now move the bill, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report Senate Bill 152 as amended to the board with the recommendation that do pass, but the first be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
You heard the motion from the vice chairman. Is there any further discussion on the bill as amended? The chair recognizes the gentleman for Denali.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just corrected, the motto was officially adopted, I believe, in 1956.
Correct it again.
Yeah,
Go
at
ahead.
the height of the Cold War, and,
You speak up, Mike.
yeah, I was just giving a short little history lesson, I don't know if anybody's interested. At the height of the Cold War, that's when it was adopted. I, fully agree with the motto, and I also, as well, trust God, too. I just think that, I also believe in the First Amendment of the Constitution and the Establishment Clause, that recognize any establishment of any religion over the other. There are religions that think you shouldn't even write out the name of God because it's disrespectful. That's some religions. The religion that I practice actually believe that. So I think that this does recognize one religion over the other in public places, and that's in violation of the First Amendment, but I'll probably be in the minority on this, but I just wanted to state my concern with it. That's all.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 152 as amended? Yes, sir. Chair recognizes Delegate Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support this because it's our motto. What worries me, though, these are kind of feel-good, sometimes politically expedient moves. This first was put on money during the Civil War, and it never was an official motto, as the delegate pointed out, until later. But I just wish we were putting the love, the concern for our fellow man, as described in most religions, particularly the Bible, into our laws, and instead of this, I think there's so many things we need to be doing that we're not doing. But I do support it because it's our motto. I do feel some misgiving about the separation of church and state, but I will support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on Senate Bill 152 as amended for the body? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are now on House Bill 5597. Will the attorney please explain the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 5597 requires that a school bus driver charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, controlled substances, or drugs while students are present will also be charged with child neglect for each student. This bill is second reference to judiciary, and there is a strike and insert that makes a slight change that I can explain once it's moved.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike and insert.
Strike and insert's been moved. Will you please explain the strike and insert?
Sure. The strike and insert changes child neglect to child endangerment, and this was done because of the effect that charging a driver with child neglect for each individual in the bus would be harder on the prosecutors. So child endangerment, after speaking with the appropriate parties, we thought child endangerment was the more appropriate charge to levy in this particular instance. So that's a summary of the strike and insert.
You heard the explanation of the strike and insert amendment. Are there any discussion on the strike and insert amendment that's before the committee? Hearing none, is there any amendments to the amendment? Hearing none, then the question is on the strike and insert amendment that has been explained to the committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Will the chair recognize the vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, I move to report House Bill 5597 as amended to the floor with recommendation that do pass, but it first be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
You heard the vice chairman's motion. To the discussion, is there any questions on the motion that is before us now? The attorney. There is any discussion. If there's no discussion, then the question is before us on the motion. Question?
Oh, no, I want to do discussion, I don't need the attorney.
Okay, we're coming to discussion. The discussion is now on House Bill, 5597 as amended. Is there any discussion on the motion that is before us? Yes, Chair recognizes Delegate Tyler.
Thank you. This bill came actually out of my county. We had 50 kids that won a bus. A bus driver drank a 6-pack of beer before he chose to drive these students home. He blew, I think on the initial breath, he failed 3 field sobriety tests and blew, I think, a .118 on the initial breathalyzer. He was terminated from his employment, but he was only charged with a simple misdemeanor. And for endangering 50 kids, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. We put our kids on the bus. We trust the school. We should be able to trust the school systems to take care of them. And my bigger concern is the fact that it's only a simple misdemeanor, and is he going to end up in another school system somewhere else? I think by doing the child endangerment, at least it would probably subject him to an abuse and neglect registry, which would come up hopefully when they do a fingerprint-based background check. And I think it really just sends a very serious message that we are serious about protecting our students and our children. So I would urge adoption of the bill.
Any further discussion on House Bill 5597 as amended that's before us now? Are there any amendments to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of House Bill 5597 say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Is there any further business before this committee at this time? Chair recognizes Delegate Willis.
We did. We're good. We're good. We did it right.
Please.
Join me in wishing Wayne a happy birthday, our colleague, today.
Delegate Wayne Clark's birthday. He turned 29.
Doug Smith did not bring me a birthday cake.
There you go. Is there any further business before the committee? If not, motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move adjourn.
You heard the motion that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, stick around.